what's happening out there with the Bruins? Because 2 years ago, the best team ever, and yeah, they losing the first round. That's kind of the shits, but then it was still a good team. And then they bring in Lindholm, we're going to address the center position, and Zadorov comes in. We're familiar with those two guys, I'm sure, as you know. But now it's maybe Lindholm and Pasternak. There's not a lot of chemistry there, and the coach is yelling at Marchand, and then Pasternak's getting sat for a period. Where are we at right now with the Bruins?
It's a lot of it's inexplicable to me, just because you had a fairly underwhelming roster last year overperform. And for my money, I feel like they improved. They addressed a lot of areas where they needed to get better, which is down the middle. I think Lindholm was a nice fit. Zadorov gave them size on the back end. I like their blue line. Obviously, take away Linus Ullmark, which is, half of their key component of success over the last 2 years, but you can only play one goalie at a time. And I don't think that their goaltending has been a major issue outside of the first week of the season. And the one real mainstay for the Bruins over the past handful of years has been leadership, coaching, and just consistency with approach and attention to detail. And none of that has been there this season. They've looked completely disorganized, disoriented. The leadership really hasn't been there. You've already seen Marchand and Pasternak have run-ins with Jim Montgomery, and discipline has been an issue. So there's so many areas where they have been so solid for years, and it's just disappeared this season.
I'm looking. They're not good at anything. They don't score. Their special teams are dog shirt. And, defensively, this team with Ullmark and Swayman's always been great goals against. You love the blue line. They protect their own zone. That's not happening. They're literally bottom half of the league on everything except shots against. They're 15th. That's their great guiding light. We're 15th in shot attempts against. Yeah. How much of this is sustainable versus, at some point they'll figure it out.
I do think at some point they are going to figure it out. And I do think at some point they're going to look a lot better than they looked in the first month of the season. We saw a bit of it last weekend, albeit against pretty underwhelming opponents with Philly and Seattle. But they took a step forward, and I think he got another 2 steps back against Toronto this week. So I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to be a little bit better than what we saw in the first month, but I still don't know if they're going to be a good team. They could figure it out and just be okay.
Yeah.
But based off of what we saw in the first month, they've been bad. Not only just underwhelming and surprising, but just straight up bad for most of the first month of the season.
We kind of talked about it as Swayman it's not a holdout. He was waiting to get a contract, but he definitely wanted all the money. And then what happened there in the media with he and Cam Neely. But watching Marchand get interviewed, it's like, well, wouldn't you love to have Swayman here? This is in the preseason. It's like, well, he's doing his thing. And I just wonder what that does in the locker room. Guys get it. They've all got contracts. They do what's best for them and their families and that whole thing. But when the goalie doesn't show up for preseason and he's late getting there, and then you get into the regular season and now you're however many games in and he's sub 900 in terms of save percentage and his goals against is over 3. You want to hold out you want to go for all the dough. That's fine, but be ready to go. How much of this has Swayman not been good, or is he just kind of part of everything that's not clicking right now?
I wouldn't say he's been his best self, but I also think that excuse runs out after the first 2 weeks of the season when you should be up to speed. You can maybe make it an excuse in the first couple of weeks where, he wasn't there. You're just kind of trying to get caught up. If you're still using that as an excuse, a holdout in preseason in November when your team is struggling, I think that's a cop-out. I think that there's been so many issues outside of goaltending that it doesn't make sense to point the finger at the goaltender. Honestly, at this point, I would say that the goaltending returns have been better than expected for me. And that's not from Jeremy Swayman. It's from Jonas Korpisalo, who was one of the statistically the worst goaltenders in the league last season. And, when you acquire him with term in return for Ullmark, that felt like a red flag. And he was really bad in his first appearance for the Bruins on opening night. I honestly think that he's reined it in. He's had a pretty good couple starts his last time out. So goaltending is not the problem. It's the play in front of these guys.
What are they doing breaking up McAvoy Lindholm? I feel like since they added Hampus and trade and immediately extended him, that pair has been just set it and don't worry. Like they're really good. And now they're trying to shoehorn Zadorov into a top pair. How is it working? Have they tried other things? Is this experiment going to work? We saw a lot of Nikita Zadorov here. And one thing that was true was the more you played him, it didn't make him better. In fact, when we saw him isolated on the third pair with Eric and Branson, they were phenomenal. The more he played, the more of the circus music we heard.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know it as well as anybody. The circus music does not detach itself from Nikita Zadorov. I like him as a player. I like him in the fit, but more as like a 4 or 5, not on a top pairing. And I think the lack of stability and the lack of clicking that the Bruins have found, or again, lack thereof, in the first month of the season has been a problem. There's been a lot of shuffling, but once you settle in, I think they're going to be okay. I don't think Zadorov is going to be a top pairing guy. He shouldn't be a top pairing guy. They may have overpaid him, but you can't force him to be that for you.
What about Lindholm? Now, again, we're so far away from it, just kind of going off. And like you say, it's only been a couple of weeks, but getting Lindholm to find a little bit of chemistry with Pasternak has been a bit of a challenge. Is it glaring? Does it feel like it's close to clicking? Or is it something where maybe that's not going to work? Because we watched it here. Huberdeau comes in. He's going to play with Lindholm. Top center, top winger. They're going to have to make it work. And it just didn't work. And they had to eventually just kind of scrap it.
Yeah, I would say it's been disappointing, but it hasn't been fully discouraging. Like, I don't think that there's no hope there. Lindholm is generating. He's not executing to lead to results on the scoreboard. I think the most disappointing thing is the lack of clicking with Pasternak and finding a real groove there. And it's been ugly at points with just how disjointed they've been, and there's just lack of flow to their 5-on-5 offense. And a big part of that in my mind too is, not to keep pointing fingers at Zadorov, but like Zadorov has been part of a big part of a bigger problem with the Bruins, which is discipline. He's taken way too many penalties, and the Bruins consistently find difficulty in generating consistency with their 5-on-5 offense, because as soon as they get into a flow, they take a penalty and they have to try to kill a penalty. And that's been a huge problem for them. If they can keep it to 5-on-5 or the power play, I have more faith in Lindholm being able to find a rhythm and be able to develop some chemistry with whoever's on his wing.
I often find it funny when you see Zadorov, be Zadorov. We call it's kind of like the roller coaster. It's like, get ready, because you never know when the dip's coming, or whoa, you get excited. And
he is one of the most entertaining players in the league.
Yeah, he is.
For better and for worse. And you when you bring him in, you know that you're getting both.
We often wonder about somebody like McAvoy. How you got to be aware of what the other team's doing. You also got to be looking over here to see what your D partner's doing. Like, you got to be on your toes. It keeps you sharp, I think.
Lindholm was always here. Zadorov, he's never.
Like, where'd you go? Oh, you're up there. I see. All right, fair enough.
Okay, so Pete, if they're gonna be just okay this year or take a while to get going, who in that division's a threat to take a spot? Because I think we all know the 4 teams, the 2 Florida teams, Boston, Toronto. I mean, it feels like tales all this time. Those are the 4 that are playoff teams. They're all sort of viewed as contenders, but then you've had these 4 below them that it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be soon. It's going to be coming. They're rebuilding. It's coming soon. Montreal, Detroit, Ottawa, Buffalo. If there is a scuffle for the Bruins, is there one in there that you think could jump in and take a playoff spot?
I don't love any of them. I definitely don't love the Wings. The Wings, they haven't impressed me. I would lean Ottawa. I like Ottawa, but they'd have to figure out quite a bit over the course of this season. But if I'm pointing at one, I think it's probably Ottawa based off of what I've seen to this point.
You're a Boston guy, right?
Yeah.
I don't hear a lot of the Boston thing. So is that is everybody else just, are they full of shit, or how did you dodge this?
How do you like them apples? Come on.
The way that I'll put it is, there are certain pockets of the state that it's stronger. And I love all my Boston people, but I do not fit into the category where that would be super, super strong.
So you're not a masshole. That's what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I just remove the M, and that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The accent gives the M. Yes.
Yeah, and we're all in good company with that group. Dude, fan of the podcast. Thanks for coming on. I know it was short time and you did your show, but tell us about what Chaos. Obviously, we find wherever we find podcasts. But what's it all about?
It's just we have fun. We cover the entire league. We try to have a lot of fun, entertainment-based show. Whether it's we're trying to be entertaining, whether we're trying to illuminate some entertaining storylines or create some entertaining storylines and bring some personality out of the game and out of the players that we interview. And we had a great interview with Joey Decord, just incredible guy this week. And we just got back from Detroit last weekend where we sat down with a couple guys. So those will be coming out next week. So very, very excited about those. And yeah, find us on YouTube because we do a great video component and a lot of our stuff is video based. So YouTube, we're nearing 10,000 subscribers. We would love for any recruitment that we can get from this.
I love the set. Love the studio. Love the set.
you.
Looks awesome. Love the Twitter. And I agree. I think David Pasternak looks like he has robbed at least 3 trains.
Yeah, I would love for him
went.
to be robbing less money from the Bruins at this point.
Yeah.
So I need that production to start picking up, please. Tonight against the Flames. I know your fans don't want to hear it, but
yeah, they're okay.
I need some.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I can't head into the weekend with horrible vibes, which is basically the only thing the Bruins have given me to this point in the season.
Thanks, dude. Good to talk to you. Thanks for coming on. We'll catch up again.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.